Welcome to the Smart Parent Show, where it's all about navigating the crazy awesomeness of being a parent. Meet the needs of your child without ignoring your own, so you can become closer with your children, be present to treasure the remarkable moments, and preserve family memories. And now your host, Rosewood.
Welcome to another episode of the Smart Parent Show. In this episode, Jennipher Walters talks about how fitness is about self-love. It's about believing that you deserve to put yourself on your to-do list and take care of your body, either through healthy eating habits or hardcore cardio at the gym. It's about making you matter instead of putting everyone else first in your life. Jennipher shares her experience with transferring her mindset, and changing what she believes to be true about herself and what's possible for her. The conscious choices she has made helped her to think positive thoughts about herself. She shares her journey to reprogram her mind with a new set of beliefs.
Hello.
Hi, Jennipher Walters.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Yes, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to have a really good conversation.
Good. I like pumpness.
Me too. Me too. Never take yourself too seriously. Have a good time. It makes life better.
It does. It does. Okay. So let's get started.
Okay.
Jennipher, how did your passion for health and fitness started?
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you want like the super long story or the kind of short story, but I'll try to give the slightly abridged version. I started getting into, I was in a few sports. I played tennis in like high school, and liked that. And then got into college, and I think like a lot of, women, young girls, I kind of wanted to maybe look a different way than what I looked like. So I did start kind of working out because of those reasons. And, but alongside of that, I did actually get a lot of joy out of moving my body and the endorphins that came from that, and did kind of get hooked on the fitness side of things. But when I was in college, I went to a group exercise class, and it was like 50 girls. It was loud music. It was pop music. It was dancing. And I fell in love with it. Totally fell in love with it. Got certified to teach group exercise, started teaching group exercise. And then I had people coming up to me and asking for more individual advice. And I was like, oh gosh, I want to learn more to help these people. I want to become a personal trainer. So then I started, I got my personal training certification and started working one-on-one with clients, and really loved that. What's funny though, as much as I did love doing that, I struggled personally with my own body image issues, and had the work being, it was my own pressure, but being put in that position in front of people to give health advice for myself triggered a lot of feelings of me feeling like I needed to look a certain way in order to give health advice. So while I was teaching all of this good healthy information, I was struggling with my own issues of under eating, overeating, yo-yo dieting, restrictive dieting, over exercising, all these things. And I kind of got away with it because I was in my 20s, and you just can, I don't know, you can, your 20s are different on your body than when you're older. And so I loved health and fitness, but I struggled with my own issues, which I think that the struggles that I had are very common, still very common. And it wasn't until years and years and years later, after I was my now husband, then boyfriend, had proposed to me, and I was kind of sick of myself and my relationship with food and obsessive calorie counting, because it dawned on me, kind of my big aha moment that led to the creation of actually the work that I do today, is I sat down and was like, oh my gosh, on my wedding day, I'm going to walk down the aisle and the only thing I'm going to be able to think about is, that my arms look fat, or what I'm going to look like in these photos, or am I going to fit in my dress? And I'm not going to be in the moment. I'm not even going to be like conscious, basically. I'm just going to be obsessing about myself and what I look like. And so from there, I knew, like, okay, that's not how I want my wedding day to be. I want to get help. And so I met with a registered dietitian who specialized in emotional eating and intuitive eating, and started a whole journey on completely giving up dieting, completely giving up the scale, stopping kind of with the pressure to work out, and found really the true joy of exercise, reconnected with that, and listened to my hunger and fullness cues, and became more mindful. And it was all of that. And the thing that the registered dietitian said to me in our first meeting was, she goes, can you imagine what the women of this world could do if they stopped worrying about the number on the scale? Mm-hmm. And when she said that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I've wasted so much time. I've wasted so much mental energy. Oh my gosh. And that's like really what completely shifted and changed the trajectory of my life in a lot of different ways. And it was a couple of years after, actually a year after I got married, I started Fit Bottom Girls with a really good friend that had kind of that mission that was, you were more than the number on the scale. Mm-hmm. And then since then, we've taken the Fit Bottom Girls to expand it to Fit Bottom Mamas, which is our, mom's market, and then Fit Bottomed Eats, which is all about food and healthy eating, and then Fit Bottom Zen, which is very mind body. So it's been such a journey for me in different ways, and I feel like it's something you just kind of keep growing and evolving with. But I've done so, like, there's not a workout that I really haven't tried. And exercise and healthy living is such an integral part of my life, but it is also a way that I approach it is very much from a place of self-love. Mm-hmm. So not like I wish that I was different, but very much like I love and respect myself that way. That's why I'm going to eat healthy foods and move my body so that I feel good.
Okay. Now, speaking of eating healthy foods and your fit, food program, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, yes, that has to do with the holidays and getting fat. Now, is it that second serving of potatoes, or grandmom's slice of pumpkin pie, or those sweet buttery cookies, or that glass of champagne to bring in the new year that's making us fat?
Man, A, you're making me hungry and thirsty, but B, no, I mean, I don't think that it's, yes, we overindulge on the holidays. And I think that, my business partner, actually, Kristen, wrote a beautiful post about, a little bit about this on Fit Bottomed Eats, a couple of years ago, that was like, the one thing that shouldn't be on your plate at Thanksgiving or Christmas or, any holiday is guilt. Like, sit down with your food, enjoy your food, pick your indulgences, but really be mindful, really enjoy them, really savor them. Mm-hmm. And when you get down to it, it's not the holidays that's making us, unhealthy kind of as a collective nation that has a really high overweight and obesity rate. It's the other days of the year. It's the days of the year that we are mindlessly eating in front of the TV, that we're overeating, that we're eating food that is, actually, like, doesn't really have any nutrition in it. It's the soda that we just kind of guzzle down and don't pay attention to. It's not the holidays. Like, enjoy yourself. It's a holiday, but it's when you eat like it's a holiday 365 a year. And I think that's really easy. It's easy for me to say, not to do, because there are so many properties in kind of processed commercialized food that is actually addictive.
Yes.
That triggers a response in your brain similar to, like dopamine and serotonin. It's similar to like what happens if you do cocaine or some other illicit drug. So, and I think we tend to have a lot of like shame, like, why can't I stop overeating? Why can't I stop mindlessly eating? You have to, there are some other larger chemical processes going on there. You have to give yourself some love, but yeah, let's not hate on champagne and pumpkin pie.
Okay. So the secret is to enjoy your food, but listen to your body. When your body says stop eating, stop eating.
Yeah. And slow down. Like, and also think about what the holidays are about. So the holidays aren't about restricting yourself and barely eating anything but like carrots and celery for 3 weeks so that you can, gorge yourself and feel terrible after the meal. Like think about, set the intention. How do I want to feel in the holidays? Do you want to sit? Do you want to, spend time with your family members? Do you want to have a really joyous time where you do have energy and you do feel great? Okay, well then what's that meal going to look like? Do you really need to try, do you really like everything that's on the Thanksgiving table? Like, what would it be like if you really only ate the things that you wanted to eat in in smaller portions? I have this, we have a weight loss challenge called the 10 and 4 challenge that we do. If you go to fitbottomgirls.com/coaching, you can get more information on it. But I always lead the girls through the women that do it through like a 5-minute meditation with chocolate. So you take like a small piece of chocolate, like a Dove, like one of those like little Dove ones, or a Hershey Kiss or something, and literally set a timer and take 5 minutes to eat the piece of chocolate.
Okay.
And if you do that, and really like sit with it, see what emotions come up, breathe, have a small bite, really taste it, get the mouth feel. But if you slow down, it's kind of funny. Like if it doesn't taste as good at minute 3, 4, and 5 as it does at minute 1 and 2. Okay. And so if you can really hone in on that, then you can begin, that just like has so many parallels to other food in your life, because how often are you eating something and the first few bites are amazing, but after that you're just kind of like, I'm just kind of finishing it because it's here. Or because I have this mentality in my mind that I have to eat all this food right now because I'm never going to be able to eat it again because I'm going to go put myself on a diet next week. If you kind of take away some of that guilt and some of that restriction and that deprivation, then it's easier to kind of settle into yourself and be like, oh, well, you know what? Really, if I wanted to have another piece of pumpkin pie next week, say I only have a few bites now because I'm full, and I'm going to stop there. If I'm craving pumpkin pie next week, well, I could just make a pumpkin pie and have a small slice. You know that difference of like that kind of, it's that all or nothing, So it's getting into kind of the small baby steps and the gentleness instead of just like all in or completely off.
Okay. Now, speaking of baby steps, so let's talk about babies and toddlers for a few minutes. Okay.
Babies and toddlers. Yes.
Yes. When you had your baby girl, was there any struggles as far as taking care of your child and getting fit at the same time?
Oh man. Yes. The answer is yes. I was able to breastfeed. I breastfed my daughter Gwen for a full year. So she was, and I wasn't away from her. I think the most I was ever away from her was like 3 hours or something for that first year. We were just like, literally like attached, the majority of the time. And that transition from having a life before that was, I think this is the difficult transition that most parents have from going from not having kids to having kids, is that, before you have kids, your life is pretty much all about you. You can decide what to do, when you're going to do it, and generally when you're going to go to bed and when you're going to get up and all these kinds of things. And then you have a kid and it's just like, oh, you are no longer the boss. You are not the boss. So, especially when they're babies, Yeah. So, and she didn't sleep a lot, which I think is common, Yeah. So I was tired, and I had worked on, with the mission of Fit Bottom Girls and with our mission of Fit Bottom Mamas, I had I had done a lot of thinking before as to how I wanted my fitness to kind of go once I had her, and was just kind of really realistic with setting really zero expectations for myself. There's so much pressure for moms to bounce back after baby and kind of be this Wonder Woman and do it all. And I was just really open to being like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So when I feel right, I'm going to, when it feels right and my body feels like it's ready and my doctor says I'm ready, I'm going to get back into fitness in whatever way feels good to me then. And for me, what it was probably, within a month or so, I was doing walks with her because she loved to be outside. And it was a great way for her to nap when she wouldn't normally nap at that, oh my gosh, that third nap of the day was always so hard to get her down for. So I would just go walk. And so I started with walking. And from there, I started to, and I've always used exercise and workouts as stress relief. That's kind of always been my thing. So I did feel the desire pretty early on, not to change the shape of my body, because I still had baby weight and all that kind of stuff on. My body was still adjusting, but just because I wanted that, I needed those endorphins, and I wanted that stress relief because it's very stressful to have a newborn, Yes. So I got into, then, I started doing a little bit of jogging and walking intervals. And then, the gym that I go to, I was actually able to bring my baby into the gym, and I could have her in the carrier in the car seat that was right next to me, and I could rock her and I could by a fan. And the community, the gym that I go to, the community was so amazing. It was so great. Sometimes my friend who's a gym owner would hold my baby, while I was finishing up my workout. But what I did was, again, really low expectations, but I started to, once my body was back to a place where it was okay, I am quote unquote healed from childbirth, we don't get into bladder issues and things like that, but yes. I was, in a place where I was ready to take it up a notch with my workouts. Then I focused on doing, pretty high intensity stuff with weights, short amounts of time. And, I breastfed in the gym, when I needed to. I kind of did whatever I could to make it work. And it's funny is that really, especially in that first year, those intense workouts meant so much to me and did so much for me and my self-esteem, because it was a piece of me. Working out is such a key, essential part of myself. And so the fact that I had that when so much of my other life had been turned upside down, it was like a part of me that I held on to so deeply, and it felt so good, even though my baby was right there with me, which was great because I had separation anxiety, with her, yes. Being from me. But I was still able to focus that time on only me when no other time was about me. So it became really kind of my saving grace in a lot of ways, that I was fiercely dedicated to my workouts, and they felt awesome. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So this sounds good. So the creativity of being in the gym with your baby led towards independence through fitness and playful and a help with the social interaction between you and your baby girl. That was good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, one of her first words was burpees. Yeah. She said burpees at a very young age. That's what she saw me doing, and those are the words that she heard. So, and yeah, even now, because she's 2.5, she'll be 3 in March. So even now, she goes to the gym with us, and she thinks that all this crazy stuff that we do is completely normal, which I'm really proud of.
Yes, yes, that's good, because throughout the years of a child's early learning and life's concerns, it's important that you set limits and discipline, and these must be balanced by an appreciation of the child's needs to explore. So even though you were exercising, she was watching you, she was exploring, how to use different parts of her body. So, yeah. So this is good. Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah. You could just see her watching, like I used to call it her, I used to be like, oh, these are like your stories. Like, it's almost like your soap opera.
Right,
like, you go to the gym and then she'd watch all these like people like running around and lifting things and, like noise and music, and kind of just be like, wow, this is really interesting.
Yes. And these are all areas that are important. Listening skills and yes.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a smart baby, very smart baby.
I hope so.
So these are very good guided principles of early learning. Yes. For the basis of, young development in a child's mind. So that's good. And
awesome.
She's going to succeed in school by, all these early interventions that you're showing her how to use.
And I know for me, it was nice to get out of the house.
Oh,
I spent so much time sitting in like one spot on the couch breastfeeding that even if it didn't go well and she cried all the way in the car there, she cried at the gym and I couldn't finish my workout or whatever, which was difficult. It is just difficult to hear babies cry. But even then I got out of the house and I had some social interaction with, kind of a former part of my life that I was adapting back into.
That's good. That's
good.
See, I believe that the child's first and best teachers are their parents.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Because every family is different and I only have one child, but every situation's different,
Yes.
Like every kid has their own little personality.
Yes. Now, how do you measure your success right now?
Oh gosh. I measure my success by, I kind of compartmentalize a few things. So I measure my success by, like, as far as being a mother, am I engaged? Am I present? Not am I perfect? Not am I like Pollyanna all the time? Like I was telling you earlier that today was a particularly difficult, challenging morning with my daughter. There was tantrums and my dog was barking and it was like, oh my gosh. So it's not about being perfect and like keeping your cool all the time, Then I had to be like, I'm sorry, Gwen. Mommy was frustrated. Like, mommy is not mad at you. Mommy was frustrated. I'm sorry. And she gave me a hug and she gave me a kiss and she said, feel better, mommy. And I was like, okay, that's really sweet. That's a nice emotional touching, teaching moment for really both of us, because they're little spiritual teachers out the yin yang. I mean, they will push every button and do everything. So I want to know, was I actually engaged with my daughter? Was I trying to check my email or cross something off my to-do list or just like on Facebook? Was I engaged? Was I being the parent that I want to be? That's one measure of success that really you have to kind of check in every day on, because this stuff is not, it all moves every day. The next one, as far as my business, am I making a difference? We are so mission driven for Fit Bottom Girls and Fit Bottom Mamas that, are we creating content? Is our podcast doing that? Are blog posts doing that? Are social media accounts doing that? Like, are we doing what we want to do in this world, which is to make, women more body positive, body aware, and kind of give up a lot of their like dieting weight struggles so that they can go do what they're meant to do. Because I guarantee no one is actually put on this planet to worry about their weight. That's not what we're here to do. So that's for my business. And then, for me personally, and just in my other roles, like, was I there for my friends in a way that I could be? Was I there for my husband in a way that I could be? Did I allow them to be there for me when I needed them to? Was I able to ask for help? Sometimes I'm a little bit of type A person and don't always ask for help when I need it. So did I do that? And that's if I can be like, yeah, I did pretty good in all those areas. And I also don't feel like I'm 100% depleted, that I did take something for myself today so that I can continue to have the energy to do all those things correctly. If I'm kind of managing my energy balance, then I'm successful.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now you seem so very confident right now. But yes, you do. Yes. Was that always the case? Now, as far as your body image? No. Okay.
No. Yeah. So my, I think that body image, I'm just kind of thinking this for the first time. Body image is almost to me like, the word balance, when people talk about like, oh, I want to have a balanced life, it's not a magical place that you get to. It's just something that you continue to be flexible and kind of move along with and do the best you can. We got, and that's how I think body image is. So it's not something where you like, one day you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a positive body image. And then you forever feel great about your body every single day for the rest of time. Just like you don't have a balanced life and wake up and have that balanced life every single day. Mm-hmm. It is something that, changes based on so many different things going on in your life. So for me, the majority of the time, I do have a positive body image, and I've had dark times where I did not, and I feel so much better where I am, and I've learned so many lessons that has kind of become my new set point is a more positive body image, and it's almost kind of habitual with thoughts. If you think about what thoughts you're thinking about yourself, if you start paying attention to those, our thoughts kind of get like a record. You probably know this, and they just kind of get in this groove, and then you have the habit of this thought or whatever, and then it results into beliefs about yourself, and then start acting out of that way and whatever. So if you can go back and kind of reframe some of those thoughts and call BS on yourself in some ways and start to love yourself, a lot of that can be rewritten with time. So I'm now at a place where I do have, usually positive thoughts. And if I do have a few that sneak in that are negative about myself, or if I find myself comparing myself to someone else, then I kind of have all these internal tools that I've built over the years that I can be like, whoa, hey, you're doing that comparison thing. Remember, that doesn't make anyone happy, because if you're up high or low, both of them are kind of this like fake place of confidence to be. So center back in with yourself, what you like about yourself, and kind of reconnect there. So yeah, I still have, there's still some days where I'm like, man, I do not want to, I'm not looking forward to putting on a swimsuit, or, I'm gonna, not wear, something that's like tighter. I'm going to wear a sweatshirt because I'm just not feeling it today. And that's part of life. And I think that's just part of the ebb and flow. But I'm so grateful that there is such a huge movement, and we've been a part of it, to make the world more positive body and just a greater, more mainstream awareness than there ever has been on the effects of culture on body and dieting and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, now for our listeners, if you could give them one tip about body image, positive tip, what would that be?
I want to do something really actionable. I have so many different tips. I would want to say like you're more than the number on the scale. But I think the one tip to remember is try to use if you're trying to get healthy, try to use your life almost like an experiment and see what works and what doesn't work for you. We tend to fall into this trap that someone else has the answer. There's some sort of magic bullet, or there's one way to do it. When really, it's just like parenting. It's just like families. You're unique. Your circumstances are unique. So find out what works for you, and that's going to take succeeding and failing, tweaking, succeeding, failing, tweaking, and continuing to kind of go through that process. So use feeling good as a guide. What foods truly make you feel good? What bedtime truly makes you feel good in the morning? What decisions truly make you feel good? What career path? What relationships? Really pay attention to what makes you deeply feel satisfied and intuitively kind of in flow with what you think you should be doing. And then you just kind of start tweaking and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and do that long enough, and you kind of start to have the life that feels really right and really good for you. And I think that's what we all want at the end of the day, is we don't actually want the quote unquote perfect body, whatever the heck that is. But we actually just want to feel good in our own skin and do the things that we like to do.
I agree with that 100%. That's good and valuable information for our listeners.
Thank you.
Yes. Now I have one question for you. Now, what question do you wish your audience would have asked you?
Oh. I feel like I've been on my soapbox and had all of my talking points hit. Like these are the things I'm always like, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. That's a really good question.
You can talk about your baby, Glenn, your toddler.
Yeah.
Raising her.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say for the parents, for, like our Fit Bottom Mamas audience and this audience of this podcast, actually it took my husband and I 3 years to have her with a little bit of fertility help. Mm-hmm. So we really, really, really wanted her, which I think sometimes really, really, really helps when the times are challenging, because it's like, don't forget, you really wanted this. I did. But I think it's so easy to try to fall into, especially as women, like this perfectionist trap of, your house needs to be clean, your kids need to be behaved, and you need to have it all together, and you need to do it all. And if you slip up anywhere, then you're a failure, and you never stop to give yourself the kudos for all the stuff that you are doing right, because you think doing anything right is just like, well, that's what you should be doing. That should be that should be baseline. Mm-hmm. That's not really the case. And we talked to on our podcast, we talked to Jillian Michaels. About a year ago, we talked to her in about January of last year, and she said, because she's a mom, she said, you can do everything, but you just have to do it shittier. And I thought that was so true. So yeah, I think for moms who are like, oh my gosh, just trying to find, how can I find quote unquote balance? How can I kind of find peace with all of this? You just have to prioritize and think, do you want to do it all shittier? Or are there some things that you can cut out? Mm-hmm. Or there's some, ways that you can focus on one thing one day and then be okay with the rest sliding for that day. And then the next day, pick up those other pieces. But I think there's just parenting, especially of young children, and I'm sure older children too. I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah. It's just a constant challenge and a constant learning curve. Mm-hmm. So don't expect yourself to have it figured out.
Okay. Okay. Now, Jennipher, how have you applied discipline when raising Glenn?
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, it's Gwen. I probably said that was not like clearly before. But yeah, with Gwen, I mean, sometimes I'm such a pushover with her, where I feel like she probably gets away with more than she should, but she is very strong-willed, very spirited. And I try to, be, instead of focusing in on how that's challenging, I tend to be like, yay, I am raising a fiery, feisty little female, like, woo, she has got it. But for discipline, I really have, I've done some workshops on conscious discipline, and I really, try to stay engaged with her and, get down to her level. And if she's upset, repeat back what I think she's going through, and then try to give her, usually two choices that I'm okay with. Sometimes she still wants the third choice, but I do try to give her a little bit of freedom to make decisions, while also providing some of those boundaries and those, so that, it's just, that right mix of them feeling like they have control, but also knowing that there is some structure, so that they have that confidence in that structure. Because I think that's important too. So that's really what I try to do in terms of discipline. And I have to say, like, honestly, there are so many fruit snacks involved with what I do. She loves fruit snacks, and that's like today, like the meltdown. I was like, I gotta drop you off on time because I'm gonna do this interview. You want to get in the car seat, and I was just like, some days you got the energy, and some days I'm just like, you sit in the car seat if I go get a package of fruit snacks. And she's like, yeah, and I'm like, all right, you got me trained. So here we are. Pick your battle.
Yes, I agree with you. The process of helping a child to control and guide his, her, or her own behavior is a long, slow, tedious one, and and can be discouraged, particularly with toddlers who needs to assert themselves to be independent, and often it interferes with cooperating and doing what is asked of them. So I agree with you.
You said that wonderfully.
Thank you. I have an experience. As I said, I am a early childhood education teacher. So I understand when you talk about conscious discipline and, all the wonderful things that are out there to help us parents and teachers and educators to help our children develop and grow, to prepare themselves for life challenges.
Yeah.
So,
because we all just want the best for our kids.
Yes, we do.
Really want the best for our kids. So,
yes.
And it's easy to kind of fall back into maybe how your parents raised you, which may or may not be the direction that you want to go. Yes. So having that awareness, I think, is really key.
Yes,
so thank you for what you do. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And this has been a fantastic interview. And I thank you for all your valuable information. And I'm sure I'm positive our listeners will be applying all the information that you shared with us today. Now, if our listeners want to get in contact with you, what is the best place to reach you?
Yeah, so fitbottomgirls.com, fitbottommamas.com are two sites that are probably the most applicable to the conversation we've had today. But we're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We're at Fit Bottom Girl and all those places. So, and we have a podcast, Fit Bottom Girls podcast. So, whatever way you like to get your information, get it that way. Let's connect. Let's chat. And thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennipher Walters. It's been great.
Thanks.
Bye.